Hey guys, what's up here? Today I'm going to explain the action drama 12 spoilers in a very exciting scene where we see a kid drawing on a cardboard box. While a couple in Kentucky discussed their fireplace, Nelson, a man busy packing several boxes in his new home to prepare for his daughter's needs, received the distressing news about the 9/11's attacks on the World Trade Center. Lieutenant Colonel Bowers vacated his team, enters the office to take their place. Lieutenant Colonel Bowers says at Nelson's request that he no longer has his team if he is assigned to staff duty. Meeting with his former team, Dillard angrily reprimanded him and replied that his decision was for family, but now Nelson vowed they would be part of the fight, backing Spencer and Bowers, tearing up his retirement papers and never submitting the paperwork. As such, he is still an acting lieutenant, and especially because of their experience, Bauer convinces the authorities to reunite the group, and on October 16, 2001. The group arrives in Uzbekistan. Nelson and Spencer holds a briefing with Mulholland if he chooses to help them. In Dostu, knowing about the troops' intel around, the Dust King along with the Northern Alliance, Annan, the Afghan warlords will introduce them to Dastum enemies who will introduce them to the CIA operation that will keep the team in northern Afghanistan in the capture of Mazar-e-Sharif, also known as Mazar. Dostum Nelson conceded that while the mission was mobilizing with militias to gain Storm's trust and asking for close air support as they navigated their way into Taliban strongholds, Dostum Nelson would handle the rest. Although he has little experience, he and 11 other men call his team's mission meeting with Nelson in an amazing situation, and the importance of their mission to help Dostum and the resulting retaking of Mazar city. He added that only 21 days are left for the entire northern Taliban forces to stand as their stronghold. The other ones saw with their eyes that he knew which team had fallen in Nelson's fight. Nelson smiled and agreed that if they wanted to see Nelson killed, they should take the Taliban easily. Spencer points out that at least those Thromes are willing to help the 6 who don't have a choice. Razan kicks and wipes away a crying woman kneeling with books next to him, and as he approaches the crying little girl, he goes to ask even more questions of the other little girls, fearing that the girl will ask him questions that are easy to answer. They reach the outskirts of the Taliban-held village of Bashkam Dostum and point out Razan's team, but Nelson explains that they need to be close enough to give the exact coordinates to drop the bomb, refusing to say that the storm is too dangerous. If one American dies, 500 of his men could die before one American gets a scratch because the government leaves and their country continues to wage war against the Taliban. They argue until Fotham takes out his radio and contacts Razam directly, informing him that Nelson has brought the Americans with him, but his coordinates are imprecise. So Nelson is trying to get closer to the treasure behind him. As one of Storm's men tries to give out new coordinates, the Taliban move in and start pelting them with rocks, calling in a few more men to cover Nelson and the brass, while the rest of Nelson's crew follows the correct coordinates. At last he gave them up, but the reason they retreated to Nelson's cave was that they had not been attacked since they had been bombarded in the squatters' claim, but he did not answer, and that they did not plan to attack the next day. Michael begins by giving the correct coordinates, bombs some Taliban in their supply, and once the bomb is cleared, orders the Americans to stay in Nelson's place, attempting to drop bombs on the tanks that come out of nowhere. But the plane was running out of fuel, and those Tom's men were panicking about needing to retreat, and they were about to be killed left and right, so Nelson ordered his men to cover the breastwork of his men's retreat. Spencer tried to talk to the group when a group of Taliban came up to them bearing white flags and either gave them new coordinates or they had a trick when a man yelled and let them go. Pins of grenades on the northern flag were also discovered, and when Stormman returned the Spine and his men, the southern flag was badly attacked, and it was no good for the group. The 2 rockets need to target BM-21 with Spencer badly wounded, or they'll have no choice but to take another bad shot. So Nelson charges towards BM-21, and BM-21 men immediately follow him. He runs, but his car ends up in a ditch, and Storm walks up to him, and before he can point Storm out, the medevac shoots him in the head, and by this time, they immediately put Spencer on board. The movie ends with Spencer taking care of him as he follows the stump to Aita Nelson, worried that he's plotting to kill Atta. But another man is close to Atta, surprisingly, saying goodbye to Atta and making peace with him. Thank you so much for promising and returning to his family. If you like this video, please support me by pressing the like button.